You changed the city. You changed the job. You changed the people. So why do you still feel like a stranger? What if the place was never the problem? What if it's the one thing you keep taking with you? And if that's true, then maybe you've been searching for home in the wrong place. Not your address, not your job, not the people, you. And once you see that, you may never think about the word home the same way again. You can cross an ocean and still carry the same insecurity you had at your old kitchen table. Because wherever you go, you're the one who shows up. Maybe you've been changing the scenery without changing the person watching it. Because if you don't learn how to feel at home inside your own mind, every new destination eventually becomes another place you're planning to escape from. But what happens when you actually walk into a room where you don't belong yet? Picture it. 6 people at a table. They have history, inside jokes you don't understand, memories you weren't there for. They laugh, you smile a half-second late, and somewhere in that half-second, something in you changes. You stop being in the conversation. You start watching yourself have it. Did that sound stupid? Why didn't anyone respond? Do they actually want me here? You check your phone, not because anything is on it. You just need somewhere to look. You speak a little less. You rehearse the next sentence before you say it. By the time you leave, you're not thinking about them anymore. You're replaying yourself, editing the tape, building the case. And then the verdict arrives. I don't belong here. Did they actually reject you, or did you quietly step back before they ever got the chance to know you? You barely spoke. You left early. You gave them almost nothing to connect with. Then you used their distance as proof. The belief built the behavior. The behavior built the outcome, and the outcome strengthened the belief. You didn't just walk into that room feeling like an outsider. You walked in already expecting to be one. You leave the room. Nobody texts the next day. That's the fact. But then your mind adds something. They didn't want me there. That's the story. The event happened once. The story can happen 1,000 times. And this is where the Stoics saw something most of us miss. You cannot control whether they invite you back, but you can question what their silence means about you. The Stoics weren't trying to teach people how to be liked. They were trying to teach people how to remain themselves when they weren't. The goal was never make the world accept me. It was become someone who stays whole even when it doesn't. So what happens when you stop asking the world to tell you who you are? You were never meant to make one city the boundary of who you are. The Stoics called this cosmopolitanism. Your belonging could be larger than a city, a country, or a tribe. Your humanity was never meant to be smaller than your zip code. Because if your identity depends entirely on one city, every move becomes a small death. If it depends entirely on one friend group, every ending feels like exile. But your identity doesn't have to shrink every time your geography changes. Your character travels with you. And unlike your address, that's something you actually get to choose. Picture your mind as a fortress, not one built to keep people out. One built to protect what is actually yours. Outside its walls, everything moves. Rejection, uncertainty, people leaving, plans changing. None of that is yours to command. Inside, your judgment, your values, your character, your response. That's the inner citadel. And the inner citadel doesn't mean, I don't need anyone. That's not strength. That's rejection wearing a costume of strength. It sounds more like, I can love people without handing them the deed to my identity. I can be rejected without becoming the rejection. I can lose someone without losing myself. I can walk into a city where nobody knows my name and still know exactly who I am. When the world can no longer decide who you are, rejection can hurt without defining you. That's the difference between belonging and depending. Because knowing this isn't enough. You can understand all of it and still walk into a room tomorrow and feel exactly the same fear. So the question becomes, how do you actually practice this? Not someday, not when you're more confident, on an ordinary Tuesday. The next time you walk into a room and feel that old, familiar cold, try 3 things. First, observe before you judge. Don't lead with, do these people like me? Lead with, what can I learn about this room? That one shift moves you out of the witness stand and back into the conversation. You're no longer watching yourself, you're actually there, and that's where connection begins. Second, move 1 inch closer. You don't need to be the most magnetic person in the room. You don't need everyone to like you. You just need to stop actively helping your fear win. Ask one real question. Hold eye contact a little longer. Say one honest thing instead of the safe thing. Stay 5 minutes longer than you wanted to. You don't have to kick the door down. Belonging rarely starts with someone pulling you inside. It starts the moment you stop standing outside it. Third, own the geography of right now. Your mind has 2 favorite places to live, the past and the future. The past whispers, my old life was better. The future promises, the next place will finally fix this. And while you're commuting between those 2 imaginary addresses, you miss the only place your actual life is happening. Here, this room, this conversation, this breath. The question was never, where will I finally belong? It's, how will I show up exactly where I am? Because you can't live in a city you left, and you can't move into a future that hasn't arrived. You can only live where your feet currently are. Maybe you were never going to find the one perfect place that finally made you feel at home. Maybe you were looking for a self you could belong to anywhere. So the next time that old feeling shows up, that feeling that you're a stranger again, don't immediately look for another city, another job, another group of people. Pause and ask yourself, what am I expecting this place to give me that I've never learned to give myself? What place, relationship, or new beginning did you once believe would finally make you feel at home? And what did it actually teach you about yourself? If you want to, tell me in the comments. Someone reading your answer may realize they were never the only one who felt this way. Home is not the place where everyone knows your name. Home is the person you remain when nobody does.